So, over the past week, we have had another incident of what I like to call black privilege. The ability to relentlessly attack a white person over something, regardless of what it is and regardless of if you're correct or not, simply because they did it to us for 400 years. That's exactly what happened. This white lady in New York had a run-in with these 5 black dudes, and ever since it's happened, all I've seen is her being branded as a white supremacist and people calling her a racist or whatever because she had an altercation with these black guys. Now, before I explain it, watch or listen, and then we'll talk about it.
Help! Help me! Please help me!
This is not your bike.
Please help me!
This is not your bike. This is not your bike.
Please help me! Help! Please get off me!
Hey, what the fuck is going on, bro?
Please get off me!
Yo, don't not take it, bro.
Now you're not getting the bike, bro.
Hey, now you're not getting the bike, bro.
Help!
You're not getting
Get
the
off
bike.
me,
I'm
dude.
not. Bro,
Why you took his phone? What's wrong with you?
Stupid as something. You're not
Don't touch
touching
his
my
phone.
phone.
Do not touch his
You're
phone.
penis.
I'm not touching you. You putting your stomach on my hand.
No, dude, stop. No, dude, stop. No. I said no. I said sit down.
Please help me!
She's just crying.
You're not crying. You're not crying. I got
Stupid.
I got
It's
you on
my
video.
bike.
Get
I'm drunk.
Wait, you pulled it out? Hey, Hassan, you pulled it out? Hassan,
I don't give a fuck.
Hassan, you pulled it out?
This is my bike. It's on my account. Please move.
So the narrative behind this is that this white woman went up to these black guys and were trying to take their bike. And that's where everybody stopped, right? Very few people said, let me look into it, right? Just the entire wave of the internet went after this woman and said, nope, that's the story that we're going to run with. That's the first thing that I was told. That means it has to be right. This is the first thing I saw. I didn't look into it any further. So it has to be true because the internet is always telling the truth. Bam, this woman is a white supremacist. And every time this happens, I just, I don't know. I don't know if I should be annoyed or if it's just something I should expect now because people are so emotional and reactionary. Very few people said, you know what? I'm going to really look into this to see what happened, or I'm going to wait until I get more information. No, it was, she's a white supremacist. Off rip. She's trying to steal these people's bikes. Plus, she's white, so she's trying to use her white privilege to get these guys in trouble. Turns out that none of that is true. Now, what I will say is funny about it is that the response to this runs parallel with any issue that we have in America, where it is 99% split down the middle, right? You got the 1% in the middle who probably just don't care, or they might see it from both sides. But you got one side of the aisle who's like, this woman's a white supremacist, and she's trying to get these black kids in trouble. And then you have the other half who's defending her on the basis of her proving that like the bike was actually hers and a whole laundry list of other things. And while I think there might have been some dramatics in the video, I just want to go down the list of everything that was brought to light to debunk this whole, she's just trying to steal this bike from these black kids because she's racist. So number one, yes, they did prove that the bike was hers. Right? It was one of those you get downtown. I think you have to have like an app to get it. You scan it, you make an account, and then you can pay to ride the bike. So they proved, she got a lawyer and proved that the bike was hers. Number two, this woman is 6 months pregnant and just got off of a 12-hour shift. Now, in the video, it looks like she might be being dramatic, which it could be, right? I'm not her, so I don't know 100%. But just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. You are 6 months pregnant, and you just got done working a 12-hour shift as a nurse, I feel at the very least you might be annoyed, right? Regardless of if the crying was fake or not, for people to try to say that she's like trying to use her color and manufacture emotions to get these black people in trouble because it's like she 100% cares about the fact that they're black, right? Because every single time that there's an altercation and it involves a black person, the other person, that's all that's on their mind, right? Is how can I get this black person in trouble? It's the dumbest line of thinking ever, but it is what it is. But with all that being said, no one cares. No one cares that she was 6 months pregnant. Nobody cares that she had just got off a 12-hour shift as a nurse. And no one cared, which is the most important part, that the bike was actually hers because they still went in on her. This woman was branded as a Karen across the entire internet. Even after all of this information came out, people still doubled down on that assertion simply because she's white. It sounds racist to me, but what do I know? I was told multiple times that black people can be racist, so I guess I just don't know what I'm talking about. But you had articles like this saying Sarah Jane Comrie, the city bike Karen, like she has a a alias now, a freaking supervillain name, because that's what they're painting her out to be, who fake cried for help from a group of black young men, reminds us of Carolyn Bryant Donham, who accused Emmett Till and got him lynched. They compared this woman to the lady who got Emmett Till lynched. That is insane. But you know why they can do it? Is because she's a white woman. And guess what? 400 years, they're going to always go back to that. We can drag white people through the streets because of 400 years. 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow and segregation has given black people immunity to dog white people at every single turn for the rest of time. Even if they're wrong in their assertion of what it is that this person was doing, they can still do it. No self-awareness from these people who are dogging this woman out, even after they've been proven wrong. None. You got people tweeting about this woman, calling her all kinds of crazy stuff. And I mean, I guess some people realized how stupid their tweets were and how reactionary they were being. You got people like Ben Crump, who literally tweeted out such a horrible tweet and just got dogged for it. Finally had the common sense to delete it. But then you got people like Tariq Nasheed tweeting out, a suspected white supremacist woman tried to steal a city bike from a black kid after he paid for it. And when him and his friends wouldn't allow her to steal it, she went through all the Karen tactics to try to get the black youths hemmed up. Screaming for help, fake crying, Mayo babbling. Then when it was proven that, number one, the bike was hers, and then number two, that this man is a clown, he doubled down on it. It said, the fact that she started fake crying for help as if she was in physical danger and she started fake crying, this gives the basis to support her of being a white supremacist. And I still stand by that suspicion. Now, this individual calls anybody he disagrees with a white supremacist, so it's no point in even taking this seriously. But this is one of so many that I saw calling this woman a white supremacist simply because she was, annoyed, pissed off that these people are trying to take her bike. Now, once again, like I said, maybe a little bit dramatic. I don't know. But at the same time, she's 6 months pregnant and just got off a 12-hour shift. I don't know what's going on in her mind. I don't know how her emotions are. So the fact that that's the focal point, especially after you've been proven wrong, just to try to feel like you got some skin in the game in regard to this argument, is completely stupid. And what's even more unfortunate is that the leaders in this country, the people we look to for help, the vast majority of them are cowards, right? Once they get pressure because they feel like their pockets might get hurt or their image might be tarnished, they succumb to the demands of the masses, regardless of if it's right or not. The hospital that she works at, they released a statement. They said, we are aware of the video involving a healthcare provider off duty and away from the hospital campus. The incident in this video is disturbing. The provider is currently out on leave and will remain on leave pending a review. As a health system, we are committed to providing an environment for our patients and staff that is free from discrimination of any kind. Now, I know they weren't talking about her because they put the word discrimination in there. Clearly, this is let's protect these 5 dudes simply because they're black. Now, this woman started a GoFundMe because she's out of work, simply because her place of employment decided to be cowards for the day instead of sticking up for one of their employees or at least waiting to see if there was more information that hadn't been presented yet. This is the country we live in now, and it's so funny because I've had so many conversations and I've been called an Uncle Tom and I've been called a white supremacist more times than I can count, which I brush it off now because it's the most idiotic thing ever. But just because I'm black and I don't condone stupid stuff like this where, hey, we're black, that means we can use that to get out of any situation that we want. We can use it to smear any white person we want. Just because I don't co-sign to that doesn't make me a Uncle Tom or a white supremacist. And while all these people parade around and pretend to celebrate Martin Luther King in February as if they really care about him, they show that they don't because they ignore one of the more vital points of his message, which was, hey, don't judge people by the complexion of their skin, but the content of their character. Yet every single time I look and I see a situation like this, guess what they all do? All the people who are jumping in on this dog pile to criticize this woman, they all look at her and they say, you're a white woman trying to mess with these black kids. That's the narrative that we're going to run with. This gives us the ability and the pass to call you a white supremacist, to call you Mayo, to say all this stupid stuff. So like I said, being called a white supremacist or Uncle Tom or whatever, it's hilarious to me, but if that's what it makes me to not indulge in this, then fine, so be it. But this is the country that we live in. The direction that we're going has nothing to do with equality or getting people on the same page. No, how they look at it is white people did this to black people for hundreds of years. Now we got to flip it. Now it's black people's turn. In any way that they can, or that we can give them the illusion that they're moving towards superiority or whatever the case may be, let's give it to them. Let's allow them to drag white people to the streets. Let's cultivate a society and a culture that tolerates dogging white people at every turn, regardless of what it is. Even if you're proven wrong, double down on it, because that's just how we roll now. It's actually stupid. But once again, in the end, it's still black people who lose, because we're so focused on having the ability to be able to call white people racist at every turn. We're so distracted by the fact that we're still lacking in education, economics, health, all of these things, simply because our focus is not there and how to improve that. No, it's let's figure out 20 different ways we can call this woman a Karen. Let's figure out how we can compare her to somebody who legitimately led to the lynching of a little boy. This is what we focus on. So shame on anybody who has dogged this woman, especially before figuring out what was going on. And I can't even comprehend the stupidity of people who doubled down on this after they were given the facts of what occurred. It's unfortunate, but once again, this is the country that we live in. What MLK said did not just apply to black people. Not being judged by the complexion of your skin, but the content of your character, that was not a one-way street. So the fact that we've cultivated a society that tolerates dogging white people at every turn simply because they know that they can get away with it. Like, get out of here, man. That's ridiculous. But that's where we're at now, where you can label a white woman a Karen off of faulty information, double down on that assertion when you are proven wrong, and then get praised for it simply because you're black. Welcome to America.